In 1925, the United States was enjoying economic prosperity. The war to end all wars had concluded, culminating with victory for the U.S. and its allies. In April of that year, an entrepreneur by the name of Winfred Ira Clark traveled across the state of Connecticut, establishing business relationships by selling construction parts off the back of his motorcycle. Soon after, he created a company to sell construction equipment in New Haven, Connecticut. The business was originally called the Clark-Wilcox Company, representing Connecticut and Massachusetts, with Mr. Clark handling Connecticut and Mr. Wilcox handling Massachusetts. A few years later, they decided to split. Winfred took over the Connecticut business and renamed it the W.I. Clark Company. The Clark-Wilcox Company in Massachusetts lasted until about 1985. The W.I. Clark Company would eventually become a name recognized and respected by thousands of Connecticut contractors over the next 100 years. Ingersoll Rand and Bucyrus Erie were among the manufacturers represented by the company in those early years. The Ingersoll Rand brand would continue to be a valued product for nearly 80 years. Blawnox, a manufacturer of paving equipment, was also represented starting in 1934. The company continued to represent the best construction manufacturers, including Euclid, which eventually became known as Terex after it was acquired by General Motors. Terex would be a significant part of sales for the company until the 1990s. In 1942, the company moved to Dixwell Avenue in Hamden, Connecticut, where it resided for the next 33 years. The W.I. Clark Company was well positioned to help Connecticut grow during the post-war boom the nation enjoyed. The Eisenhower Interstate System became one of the largest construction projects in the history of the country. And equipment sold and serviced by the W.I. Clark Company was seen throughout Connecticut. Interstate Highways 84, 91, and 95 were built, making travel in the state safe and fast.
My name is Bill Harding, and I was Vice President and General Manager of Ingersoll Rand Company in charge of the 6 New England states. W.I. Clark was the #1 dealer in the New England territory. They built the interstate, and that went right up through the state of Connecticut. And W.I. Clark had a big role in playing that, and Ingersoll Rand Company with their drills and compressors, because they had to cut that road all the way up there and all the quarries.
In 1968, Winfred Ira Clark passed away, so the day-to-day management and direction of the company became the responsibility of Gordon Manson Clark, the oldest son of Winfred and only the second president in company history. Gary Clark, his brother, joined him as VP of Sales.
I went down. I'd never been to W.I. Clark's company. Gordon met us at the door, and he took us back to his office. Boy, it was a beautiful office. He had pictures of the family around, and I thought, boy, his office is a lot nicer than mine. And he sat down, and the next thing what the hell was that? And I look over to my left, and the door shut, but there was nobody there. Then he gave us a tour of the building. And the first place we went into was Gary Clark. And that's the first time I ever met Gary Clark. Gary was a different personality. He was very, very outgoing, very nice man. And then we met Ron Angelo. And Ron was their top salesman. Ron liked working for W.I. Clark. He told me that. He says, it's the best job he ever had. He said, they treat me like family. And I didn't quite understand that statement at the time, but as I got to know W.I. Clark, I started to realize what he was talking about. During that trip, I asked him if he had a button on the desk. And he says, yes, I did. I said, that's pretty neat. You close the door. Why do you do that? He says, well, when I'm with important people, I don't want to be disturbed. And I thought, this is my second day on the job. I'm as green as the grass in his front yard, and he thinks I'm important.
In 1975, the company moved from Hamden to Wallingford and into a brand new facility designed by Gordon Clark, with the opening taking place during the 50th anniversary of the company. The purpose-built building also functions as our corporate headquarters. And during that time, the company became the first dealer in Connecticut to offer the newly formed John Deere construction line, selling large construction equipment including excavators, loaders, and large crawlers. There were 4 dealers in the state to offer the John Deere utility line, featuring small crawlers and backhoes at that time. In 1993, Doug Hansen, the grandson of W.I. Clark, became the 3rd president in company history. Doug would guide the company during its largest expansion in history, joined by Mark Hansen, his brother, as VP of Product Support. In 1995, the company acquired the entire John Deere utility line from the other dealers and established itself as the only multi-location seller in the state of Connecticut, with additional locations in Brookfield and North Franklin. The acquisitions improved the customer experience by making access to parts and service easier. It also provided the opportunity to provide small crawlers and backhoes to the company's large customer base. And to this day, W.I. Clark is the only construction equipment supplier in the state of Connecticut with 3 locations to serve its customers.
What do you remember about those early days?
So my first a story that I've told several times to the Clark family, which is pretty neat in my opinion. I bought a 1995 John Deere 310 backhoe. It was the first purchase of a major heavy-duty piece of equipment that I ever made on my own.
It's a big investment.
It was a big investment. And we were scheduled to pick up on a Saturday morning, and they're closed at noon, I think. I might have showed up at 12:30, but they left the key in the machine. All the paperwork was done. And I drove there with my truck and trailer. I was picking it up myself. My backhoe's sitting there. I load the machine. This older gentleman, and I could tell he was somebody important. He was walking the property. And he walked up to me and said, "Nice backhoe, blah, blah, blah." And he introduced himself, and he said, "My name is Gordon Clark." I knew his name was on the building at the time. And I said, "Oh, Mr. Clark, so nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. I'm so excited." And I said to him, "One of these days, Mr. Clark, I'm going to be your best customer." And he reached out his hand, and he shook my hand, and he said, "Son, you already are." And that stuck with me till this day. And I actually used that with my customers also. Even our smallest customers, you have to treat them like they're the best customers you have. Yeah, it was.
An experience like
probably
that.
Part of the reason why I'm still here.
In 2008, one of the most significant changes in company history occurred when the Ingersoll Rand Company sold its road building division to Volvo and transferred sales of those products only to Volvo dealers, leaving the company without a paving and compaction line of equipment. Fortunately, the Wirtgen Group was looking for a dealer to represent their brand in Connecticut. Its world-renowned line of Wirtgen milling machines, Hom compactors, Vogela pavers, Kleeman crushers, and screeners replaced the Ingersoll Rand product line. W.I. Clark again continued to be a leading supplier of asphalt and road building equipment throughout the state of Connecticut. In 2009, the company moved its eastern Connecticut location to Plainfield and a purpose-built sales and service center. And a continuing desire to expand product lines offered, industry-leading Leeboy and Roscoe equipment were added to our product mix in 2012. Their asphalt pavers, water trucks, and graders were some of the products complementing the equipment the company already sold. In 2016, the Western Parts location of the W.I. Clark Company relocated to Danbury, Connecticut, increasing its warehouse space. In 2018, in a stunning acquisition, Deere & Company Inc. bought the Wirtgen Group. Although W.I. Clark had been a Wirtgen dealer since 2008, it solidified Deere's commitment to providing a full line of heavy-duty construction equipment.
With John Deere and the Wirtgen Group coming together, it really helps us put together a complete package for our customer.
We're able to provide full service for the whole site. We have a seamless organization behind us, being able to represent everything as a true Deere product. You can see the end result. It works.
With construction, forestry, milling, paving, compaction, and aggregate equipment, they are one of only 2 manufacturers in the world to sell all these lines.
Today, the W.I. Clark Company employs nearly 100 people, but it's still a family business. In addition to President Doug Hansen, other grandchildren of Winford Ira Clark work in the company. Mark Hansen, Vice President, Stuart Clark, Asphalt Product Specialist, and Peter Clark, Municipal Salesman, also work for the company. The fourth generation is now represented by great-grandson Russell Hansen, Operations Manager. Russell is now helping guide the company into the future. For many years, continuity and integrity has been the phrase used in the W.I. Clark mission statement. Those same words still ring true today.